This person says, as real as Darth Vader or Harry Potter. Wow. You believe in Spider-Man, not as the superhero, but as a person. Do you think Peter Parker existed in some way, or is he just completely made up? Okay, Peter Parker was definitely completely made up, and we know who did it. So 2,000 years ago, they nailed a man to a cross, and we've been speaking about him since. As a member of the body of Christ, I have often, almost always, am interested in the atheistic or secular or non-believer's perspective of Christ, of Jesus of Nazareth. I find it to be interesting to me, and I want to explore these conversations. So I went through a Reddit thread, and we're going to go over 25 comments giving in our 25 comments on what atheist people think of Jesus, and I'm gonna put in my 2 cents on each comment. And so, yeah, if you are enjoying this content, or you think you're gonna enjoy this content, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let's go down this rabbit hole on Reddit. So the beginning of this thread is this: do you believe in Jesus? This person says, obviously not as the Son of God or God himself or a prophet, but as a person. Do you think Jesus existed in some way, or is he just completely made up? And just to be clear, I'm not trying to prove a point. I was just curious as to what the opinions of other atheists was on Jesus and his existence. Comment number 1. To write these down so I don't lose track of myself. This person says, this is absolutely, wait, what? There is absolutely zero verifiable proof for the existence of Jesus. I don't think this response is in good faith at all. But this is actually this is just a very naive response. Moving forward, comment number 2. Given what we know of his purported life, an inherent preacher or who wandered around giving sermons for a couple of years, we wouldn't actually expect there to be any proof. So this isn't at all that persuasive to me. Also, there's zero verifiable proof for the existence of Socrates, but hardly anyone, including scholars, believes that he doesn't exist. There was enough written about him by my contemporaries or near contemporaries that it seems very unlikely that he didn't exist at all. It's far more likely that both of those figures are based on real people but were mythologized. Can I not say that word? Mythologized over time. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought with the first one. I'm like, this isn't really in good faith. This is a figure in the most popular book of all time, like #1 sold book of all time, with some very, very imaginative things going on in there, right? Like, someone like him in a book like that would be heavenly studied just because of how much is in it, right? So yeah, I would say the first comment wasn't really in good faith. Comment number 3. Well, except there are no contemporaries mentioned of Jesus. Comment number 4. This person says there isn't any direct evidence of his existence, and many of the stories around his birth, census, Galilee, I probably said those wrong, are obviously fictional, but there was definitely a cult built around him, so there was likely somebody who did something to inspire the cult. My opinion is that Jesus is probably a composite figure like Ragnar Lothbrok or Ulysses, Odysseus, Romulus, and Remus, Gilgamesh, or George Washington. Hope I did those right. At its core, probably a real guy who was charismatic and attracted followers, but legends grew up around him to make him larger than life, and the stories took on a life of their own. Well, that's very thought-provoking. Oftentimes that does happen with, figures, and over time things get changed and they become way bigger than what they actually were. Comment number 5. With the information communication technology of the time, I could easily see a religion form out of half a dozen different apocalyptic preachers getting merged together in person-to-person retellings. No singular Jesus, but some people/teachings that resonated enough to get codified decades later and eventually turned into the Bible. That's another interesting perspective. I mean, there's really a lot of different ways you could take this because it was so long ago. And so, yeah, these are so far very interesting to me. Comment number 6. This person says, my personal belief is pretty close to this. I think it's one of the most probable theories as to how Jesus and Christianity spread. Comment number 7. This person says, as real as Darth Vader or Harry Potter. Wow. So we're just having fun, huh? It's just all fantasy. It's just all, this is gonna be a cool, fun story to trick humans, to deceive humans, of just for the sake of doing it, right? That's fun. Shout out to J.K. Rowling. Comment number 8. If he was real, he has about as much in common with the Jesus of the Bible as Santa Claus has with the real Saint Nicholas. Wow. This is, so atheists, you guys truly believe, like, in your heart and mind that he's just a fantasy-like person, or there's just no truth at it at all? It's just all made up. Comment number 9. Is Spider-Man real because we have evidence of New York City? Was Robin Hood a real person or an amalgamation of half-truths of various real people morphed into a fictional character? The Jesus of the Bible did not exist. Even some grains of truth have made its way into the beach of fabrication. I think this sounds cool, but I think there's just too many evidence to support that he did. Both from believers and non-believers will tell you that he did exist. Now I think it's, you could argue, right, his divinity and was all that real? I could see that being an argument, but I think there's just so much evidence to support that he was real and he was crucified. Comment number 10. We get another, do you believe in Spider-Man? Not as the superhero, but as a person. Do you think Peter Parker existed in some way, or is he just completely made up? Okay, Peter Parker was definitely completely made up, and we know who did it. There is no evidence to support that there was an actual Spider-Man out there in New York City, like a Robin Hood figure that is swinging from building to building, saving people. I have not heard of this person in the real life. Comment number 11. This person says, unknown. No one wrote about him until people who never met decided to write about him decades later. There aren't any contemporary records of him or his doings. He could have existed. The stories could have been based on multiple individuals, or it could be completely made up. The fact that we don't know for sure is a pretty major problem for Christianity. I think if we went with this logic though, there's a lot that, I mean, there's so many figures in history that we would have to just throw out of the picture, right? That we would have actually least evidence for. I think it comes from a place of ignorance, to be completely honest with you. Even though I'm Christian, like, cause I'm like, even if I wasn't Christian, I would still look at it through like I would try, cause we look at evidence and we study things to see, you know, if it's true or not. It just seems like there's just a lot of evidence for Christ. Comment number 12. If you believe he's real, then you must believe in Santa Claus. Comment number 13. I mean, I believe there is some basis for the stories about him, sure, but that's a pretty low bar, whether it was on a crazy guy or on an amalgamation of crazy guys and sort of immaterial. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you trying to say like a group of people just decided to come up with these stories just because, which is kind of like what I was saying earlier? And even if they did, think about why would a group of people do that, especially in a time like this? Like, people were more, like, if you look at people back then versus now, it seems like people were more this is like a crazy, or maybe not crazy, but this is just an observation that I'm gonna say. It seems like people, like, especially when it comes to God, it was not a joke to people, right? God, the conversation of God was not a joke to people back then. They took things very seriously. I think it would be hard to believe that a group of people would do this just because, especially back then where things seem to be more serious. We can joke about a lot of variety, like a lot of different things today, because I mean, most of our lives are comfortable and we're silly for the most part. But it's just a conversation like God, a topic like God, I don't see why that would be a complete joke and a group of people would just do this just because. Comment number 14. Once you remove the Son of God bit and you remove the miracles and you admit that he might not have said what the Gospels claimed he said, and that key events might not have happened and described, if at all, is the man you are left with still Jesus? Interesting observation. So if he didn't do everything he claimed to have done, would he still be the Christ? Well, I guess you gotta ask yourself, like, what is it that you do right now? Like, if you didn't go to your job, if you didn't do your hobbies, if you didn't do the things that made you you, would you still be you? What I want to know, what's the point of this? What are you trying to say here? I want to know what do you mean by this? I think it sounds cool, but I guess maybe I'm missing it. Comment number 15. Oh, we just get a flat out no. He just says no. Just no explanation, just no. Comment number 16. Absolutely not. There has never been any solid proof that he existed. I just think that there's a lot of people that would disagree with you. Even atheists that would disagree with you. People that are, you know, archaeologists that really dive into this. There's this really cool, actually even for atheists watching this, there is this really cool YouTube channel called Bible Expedition, led by this archaeologist and his son, where he dives into locations that the Bible has spoken about and goes to them, and he goes into these really deep analysis and history of showing you, like, this happened at this time. Like, check Bible, you gotta check it out. It's super cool. I think it's super informative, and I think, like, even if you're an atheist or a believer, you would enjoy watching those videos because it's history. Comment number 17. I've yet to see any evidence that would point to him existing, so no. Comment number 8. I do, but I believe he was a philosopher. You believe he was a philosopher? I've never heard of Christ in that light. But I mean, you know what? Maybe you could make an argument that, you know, that was definitely a side of him, because he does have like these sort of, I mean, he spoke in parables. It's very philosophical. So yeah, okay. Okay, comment number 19. Assuming Jesus existed, then what? What theory would his existence be used to explain? Well, there's like the whole Bible of, you know, him judging and all these things. I mean, if he was who he says he actually was, that would be very concerning for most people, which is, I'm sure, one of the reasons why this book is the most studied, because these claims are pretty bold claims. Comment number 20. Somebody just says believe in. Comment number 21. From what I researched, the name was very common back then, like Mike or Bill today. So there were many of them with that dude's name back then. The virgin birth one? No. That was stolen from another book of fiction. No idea why this book still exists. Crazy, literally. How do I want to respond to this? How should I respond to this? Because he's not wrong in the names being common and things like that. But I'll say this. I think that a conversation like this is very fascinating, because I think you have to have a harder stance to not believe in God than to believe in God. And I think beyond that, the question then becomes, what's God, right? I would say there's a lot of evidence to support Christ, but yeah. Comment number 21. I'm sorry, 22. My bad. I think he's a fictional book character inspired by a person who did exist. That doesn't mean everything in the book really happened. Bits and pieces here and there might be true, but most of it is made up. It's similar to how the Iron Man character was based on someone who really existed, Howard Hughes. People like stories that are based on real events. They are just more interesting. This is true. Things being more interesting, inspired by XYZ. Okay, comment number 23. Well, everything in all the Bibles are made up to wait. Well, everything in all the Bibles are made up to trick the plebes into paying things. So no, he was never real, and no one else was either. But you see, like, you would have to support that though. Like, you would have to actually support this. Well, you don't have to, but it would be ignorant not to if you're gonna be so bold about something. In truth, we don't have to do anything we don't want to do, right? We'll have consequences for that, but yeah, you don't have to. 24. Comment number 24. Completely made up. Next question. Comment number 25. No, there's no evidence. Do you believe extraordinary things that aren't backed up with evidence? But that's the thing though. People don't. And there is evidence. Now that we've gotten through, now that we've gotten through these comments, I'm gonna give my analysis on the 25 comments I've just read of my fellow atheist friends. What do I want to say about this? Again, I'm always interested in outside perspectives. You know, as a believer, obviously I see the world through a different lens than you guys, and my experiences are different than your guys's. What I'll just say is, I almost feel like I can't even say that. I would say, you know, don't be so closed off, research things, have an open mind, an open heart, and maybe that'll lead you down the right path. Maybe this helps somebody, maybe not. Who should I do next? I want to oh my gosh, can I not speak English? I want to tackle some political figures, like maybe even Candace Owens, and see what people think. I want to see what both liberals and conservatives think of Candace Owens, and tackle into that. But let me know what you guys think of the video. If you enjoyed it or not, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.